What if I told you that in less than 10 minutes, you could make balloons fall from the sky using Python? No game engine, no complicated setup, just pure Python. By the end of this video, you'll have your own animated balloon system working from scratch. So let's build it. Let's import the libraries that we want. Import turtle library. Then we do have random library for the randomness as well as import time. Now once that will be done, let's focus on screen setup. So here we go. We are declaring a variable screen which belongs to the turtle library, followed by the screen function that is there in the library. Now let's talk about the setup. We are going to make sure that there is a fixed width and height of the screen. And once done, let's add the background color, PG color, and it's gonna be fun if I use that. It's totally up to you what you want to do. And I would suggest, if you are someone who has watched my previous videos using the turtle, how we can create different games, try to pause the video and try to create these entities or screen, or try to set up screen as well as the player on your own. Okay, now once we have the screen set up, we need to make sure that we are starting for the balloons. So now in order to create balloons, we don't want to have multiple turtles representing each and every balloon. We just want to copy the existing code of the balloon and just make them render on the screen again and again. Now how that's going to be possible? For that, we will have to use the concept of list in Python, which means that you can store multiple data under the same name. How we do that? Let's see. Balloons. It's gonna have a name, and then to declare a list, you need to use square brackets. Now this square bracket is an indicator that this is a list that we are talking about. Python have some inbuilt data types, and it is one of them, balloons. Now once that is done, I do have an empty list. Consider it like an empty basket which does not have anything currently. Now in order to add something in this, we will have to define a function. So let's define function create balloons. Now this function is responsible for creating the balloons. Now as we know, functions helps us to store set of codes to do a specific task, and that's what the plan is. I am declaring one more variable as balloon. Now balloon is a single entity. Balloons is a list that contains all the details about each and every balloon. So this balloon is going to be the turtle, and then I'm going to give it different colors. But before that, let's add the shape. Shape is going to be circle, which is predefined parameter over here, and of course I need to give it the color. Now here comes an interesting part. With the help of list, we can add different colors, however not random colors but some selected colors. So how can we do that? We will use the color function. Inside the color function, we will use random.choice, which will be responsible for choosing any one option among the given list of items or list of color names. So let's start by using the color name. Now as I said, it is a list, so it's gonna have the square bracket, and inside this list we do have the name of the colors. So it's up to you now, which color do you want to add. I also like purple, so I'm going to add that. Now I have 4 colors over here, and let's add orange. Here we go. So this color is a function which is going to help us choose any one color randomly given from the options, right? Now this is done. Once we have it, we also don't want the balloons to draw anything, so that's why we're going to use pen up. Now if it is done, we are going to make sure that all the balloons are falling from the top. However, they can change their x coordinate, right? Some of them can come from left, from the center, or from the right, but the top location will be same. So for that, we are going to use goto, and here, as I said, we are going to have random.randint, which will be responsible for choosing the x coordinate starting from left to right, and negative 350 to positive 350, followed by the fixed y coordinate. Here we go. So this is one part that we have done, and of course now we are also responsible for setting up the speed. Now for speed, we do have a function which is gonna be here, and here I'm going to use uniform, which will help me to choose a speed at a time, right? So I'm going to give it a range 1,3. So this uniform is going to get a random number in the range, and depending on rounding, it will give me the random speed. Now once that is done, you have this data, and once these all line of code run, you will get a balloon. But where are we going to save it? We need to add those balloons in this list, which was an empty basket initially. So for that, we are going to use append. Now this append method is responsible for adding new elements to the existing list, even if the list is empty. So here the plan is that try to add a balloon. So suppose when the function called for the first time, the balloon was of green color and it was of 250 x coordinate and 300 y coordinate, and its speed was 2. So that data is going to be stored inside this balloons list. So it's gonna happen for each and every balloon that gets created. Now this was to create the balloon. Now what about how we are going to make it move on the screen? Basically, make it move on the screen, make it fall. So for that, we are going to have a time. This is known as spawn timer. Spawn basically means to render anything on the screen. So that's what the plan is. I'm going to add the spawn timer, which is technically a variable. So let's set it to 0. And now we are going to say while true. Now this true while loop is responsible for making sure that whenever we want to create a balloon, we need to call this function again and again. I'm not going to do it manually. The loop is going to help me do that. And anything that happens on the screen, any animation or any sort of game that we are doing, we need a loop. So this loop is responsible for that. Now I'm going to use a very important function which is known as a screen.update, responsible for capturing all the different or changes that are happening on the screen. And of course, I don't want everything to happen right away. So that's why I'm going to use time.sleep, and I'm going to use 0.02 milliseconds. Now after that only the things will happen. Now we also need to make sure that the timer keeps on increasing. So for that I'm going to use spawn timer plus equals to 1. Now this is done for the balls to fall on the screen, because this timer will decide that okay, if the balloon is passing or surpassing a particular y coordinate, then only the second balloon should come. It shouldn't be like a cluster of lots of balloons on the screen. So to make sure that does not happen, we are going to also use this spawn timer, and we are basically going to check that if the value of spawn timer becomes greater than 100 frames, then create a balloon. That only create a balloon. And with that, of course, set it back to 0, because we need to wait till the balloon that was created is reaching at the bottom, or maybe it got hit by the start. So now, once this is done, the balloons will come on the screen. But now I need to keep on rendering the same balloon, because once the balloon gets created, it also needs to be removed on the screen, right? So for that, I'm going to use a loop, which is going to be for balloon in balloons. Now this balloons is going to help me. Now as this list is an empty list right now, and we want to keep on rendering whatever has been stored inside this balloons list, we need to use this loop. So this balloon is a single entity. This balloons is the list that contains all the balloons inside it. So now I'm going to make sure that if the x coordinate of the balloon is going to be set y, and here I'm going to set its value. So I'm simply going to say if the y coordinate, correct y coordinate of the balloon, and I'm going to subtract it with balloon dot speed. Now once that will be done, we are ready to set the condition. So we are going to say that if the y coordinate, current y coordinate of the balloon becomes less than negative 300, which means it is going off screen from the bottom, make sure you are removing the balloon. Now here is an important thing. We need to remove, and from where are we going to remove it? We are going to remove it from the balloons list. So I'm going to use remove followed by the name of the entity, which is balloon that I want to remove. And of course I also want to make sure that I'm hiding the turtle. Here we go. Hide turtle. When I hit run, we do have an error. The error basically says that I have here list object has no attribute set y, which means I am applying balloons set y. That means I'm trying to set the y coordinate of the list balloons, but I have to set it only for one single balloon. So instead of balloons, it should be balloon. One error is over here. Now if I run it again, and let's see how it goes. Now we have another error that says balloon.append. Now, as mentioned, it is supposed to be balloons because I'm trying to append a single balloon into the list. So instead of balloon, it should be balloon because balloons is the name of the list. Now let's hit run and see. So far we have 2 errors. Now we do have a starting of the game, which is to make the balls fall. We have a starting of the game, which is to make the balloons fall from the top, and it is working perfectly fine now. Of course, there were 2 errors, but that's the good part about learning coding, where we have errors and we are going to fix them. Now, our balloons are falling, but they are useless. In the next video, we are going to add a player and actually pop them. If you want to turn this into a real game, don't miss part 2. I'll see you there.